What's going on, everyone? Today is October 4th, and this is your Wednesday midweek review. I'm going to go over dollar, Henry's going to go over ES, and if there's anything else that you guys might want us to cover going into these midweek reviews or on these Sundays calls, please continuously be vocal about it so we know what we want to potentially look at for you. If there's anything else that you guys might see or find on the website as you guys continue to use it, your feedback obviously is really, really good. We are thinking about potentially utilizing the rest of the calls as Google Meets. So if you like Google Meets and you think that that's better than Zoom, or if you want Zoom, let us know which one might be better. Google Meets are cool because there's a bunch of different things we can do. We have the opportunity to potentially go into whiteboards and break the call into different groups if we really needed to. So there's some features that it has that Zoom does not. So just keep that in the back of your mind. Your feedback is always really good for us. So Henry, if you have anything else, let me know. If not, I'll get into dollar.
Good to go. I'll just say that this coming Sunday, we will be meeting on Google Meet rather than the regular Zoom. And I'll be sure to get into the website and update the calendar links for you.
Actually, one more thing too. If you haven't already, guys, go in if the email team@firsthandtrading.com. If it's not already in your email and pin into your contacts, go into the email and you can pin it to your contacts and assign it not to spam. And then that allows it to not go into spam. That's something that we've gotten feedback on about our emails going into spam. And if you can, try to go and find the email in spam if it's not in your inbox, and go ahead and mark that as unsubscribe to spam, or whatever button you can click. Some of them are different. Other than that, I'll get into DXY.
That's team@firsthandtrading.com.
Okay, dollar. So still thinking higher, but a couple things to note. All right, back on a weekly, we obviously have buy side liquidity at 108. We are now back. We traded back up into this weekly BISI, but you can see the respect, right? Especially the consequent encroachment. Like I talked about in that trade review that I sent out yesterday night, identifying as inversion the bottom half of this BISI, right? Identifying that and then understanding that price should be sensitive to that if for whatever reason current order flow is bearish. Now, I'm not saying we are bearish. I'm still bullish on dollar, but I think that we can retrace at least back down into this BISI right here. So now if you note, we've kind of created, even though the week has not closed yet, we have already created this BISI right here, right? And that's got a couple things inside of it. Notice how the consequent encroachment of that is also the SIBI low on the monthly, right? So if you go out to the monthly, right, it's this SIBI low right here, right? And if we're going to continue going higher, we're going to want to use that as support. Back into a weekly, note how that's the consequent encroachment of this BISI, and notice how we have this previous week's low, right? So if we want to reach back down into here, I'm going to be looking to see closure. The way price closes and the way price respects either the top half or both halves of this BISI, and with regards to closure, is going to kind of tell me whether or not we're going to want to invert it and kind of validate it going lower. I'd like, if something were to close under here, I wouldn't necessarily automatically go bearish, but it's something that I would consider, and I would see how price trades back going into it, right? So if price decides to cut down through it, right, how do we react when we go back in it, right? Do we start to use it back as support and go higher, right? Or do we use it as resistance, right, and respect the top or the bottom half of this BISI? A couple things there, but then from there, you know, I'm overall seeing price just retrace back into here, and then another continuation higher towards this buy side liquidity at 103.8. But I would want to study this wick first, right? I'd want to study the quarter points and the consequent encroachment of this wick once we push back up into it. But I could see that potentially happening. Obviously, it's the second half of the week. We have NFP, so anything can happen. So make sure that you trade safe if you choose to trade, and please do not trade going into NFP, especially if you're not experienced. But other than that, you know, we were expecting price to form some form of intermediate high. If you go in on a daily, right, we still have structure to play into. So we have obviously the SIBI into here, right? So price could come all the way back down into here, right? We might respect the consequent encroachment of the previous week's wick, right? But something like this could potentially still unfold, something like that. Or you might dig a little bit deeper into this rejection block, which is actually going to be inside that BISI, right? It's going to be inside this BISI. So if I come back into the weekly, I keep this, I put this on a daily. Right, so if I go into here, I go into a daily, you can see how that's to be low, right? It's about the consequent encroachment of this rejection block. To me, this is an order block too, so I would study the mean threshold of that, right? Study the 50% of that, see how the next day or two plays in and around this 50%, and then see if we want to go higher, because I am still bullish, right? There's been no structure on the daily that shifted. I have to remain bullish, until I'm proven otherwise with regards to invalid discount arrays and structure. But other than that, the areas that I see are potentially 106, 250, in and around 106, 500, and then in and around 106 flat to 105, 900, in and around those levels. Other than that, that's it for DXY. Everything's still the same, but now just notice where we're coming off of and still expect some form of near-term high to be formed for some form of near-term retracement lower to then potentially go higher unless proven otherwise. Other than that, that's it for me on dollar. Obviously, if you guys have any questions there, just let me know in the website, and I will definitely get back to those. Henry, you should be good.
Okay.
And for one asking what is on my thumb, I cut my thumb with a kitchen knife cutting onions.
Okay. All right, we'll get into ES quickly. So we talked about on Sunday's call, briefly just continuing to reach down into sell side targets, still expecting higher prices on the dollar. And so with the two being inversely correlated, the dollar and indices, as long as we're getting that expansion, we can continue to expect opposing sides, right? So if the dollar is going to reach higher, we can expect ES to continue reaching lower as well. So we have our sell side targets marked. We already reached down into this low this week's action. Yes, it was on Tuesday, reaching down into the sell side right there. And then we still have this lower sell side target yet to be reached. I'm still looking to this target, and my kind of point of negating that target will be if we do get closure back above this gray area right here, like that with this box. And that's the inefficiency between, well, it's really multiple inefficiencies, but I marked it all as one. So there's a small VISI right here between the May 31st candles high and the June 2nd low. It's also a small volume imbalance in here. And then there's a bit of a larger VISI right here as well between the June 1st high and the June 5th low right here. So just marking that all as one. You can see how earlier this week we've been kind of consolidating inside of that inefficiency and then trading back lower. We did get last month closure below the low of the monthly BISI. So we talked about with that happening, we could remain a bit heavy-handed and trade down into the sell side targets, which we have started to see here as we reached into it here on Tuesday. And now in today's action, after reaching back down into there, we finished redelivering the remainder of this VISI right here. If you're taking a look in First Hand Social, I made a post in there about reaching down into this target, filling the remainder between these candles right here. Mark that out again. So we've traded through there, redelivered the rest of that. Oops. And now, anything can happen going into Friday NFP, but I'm going to continue looking to sell side down here as long as we don't get closure back above this high. If we do start seeing closure above the high of these inefficiencies right here, then we could potentially start looking back into some of these higher inefficiencies as a deeper retracement. So on the weekly chart, we have a large city right here. And then on the daily chart, you can see these cities here as well. But as long as we keep closure below this high, I'll remain focused down here on the sell side. So it's going to be under Wednesday, today's low, then this volume balance on the monthly chart, which we look at here, right? And then the final sell side target lower down here under the May 24th low. Okay, anyone who's been long throughout all of this would have a sell stop placed under an all low, and so we can expect that as an area for that handshaking to occur as price trades back down. Okay, that's it for me on ES. Carson, any other thoughts here?
Nope, I'm good there. Obviously still bearish on it. Still looking to see if we maintain below 43.60. It's kind of my main focus. As long as we do that, we're good.
All right, sweet.
Other than that, that's it for me, guys. You know, keep being active. It's really good to see you guys being active, so continue doing that. And I think you know, as time goes on, as we continue to get feedback from you guys, even the little things, it helps. So you know, continue being vocal about everything. And I will see you guys on Sunday.
All right, talk soon, y'all. Be safe as we go into the rest of the week. And talk to you Sunday.